Hello everyone, welcome back. In continuation with my previous videos on 8086 pinout, where I discussed in detail about the operation associated with each of the pins and about the system bus, which includes your address bus, control bus, and data bus. In this video, I will discuss about machine cycle, instruction cycle, and timing diagram. So basically, we know that with the help of these three control signals, which are memory slash IO bar, read bar, and write bar, we are able to generate four different types of bus cycle. If we are doing memory read operation, your M slash IO bar will be high and read signal as it is active low will be low, and we will be in memory read bus cycle. Similarly, if we are writing onto the memory, we will have M slash IO as high and write signal as low. We will have a memory write bus cycle. Similarly, we can have IO read and IO write bus cycle. So, in this video, we will try to understand what is a bus cycle or machine cycle and how to calculate the type and the number of bus cycles involved in executing a specific instruction. In 8086 and above processors, which are complex instruction set computer or CISC architecture, the instruction is executed in one instruction cycle. So, one instruction in this case is one instruction cycle. Or, in simple word, we can say that the instruction cycle is the time taken by the CPU to execute one instruction. Then, one instruction, as it is a CISC processor, one instruction could be made up of one or multiple machine cycles. Just in the previous slide, I have shown what is a bus cycle or a machine cycle. Processor can have four different types of external operation: memory read, memory write, IO read, or IO write operation. These are called as machine cycle, and one instruction cycle could be made up of multiple machine cycles. Now, each of these machine cycles are made up of multiple T states. What is T state? I have in detail explained in my previous video. Just to review, T state is the time period of the clock pulse, or it is the time between the two falling edges of the clock pulse. As microprocessor is a synchronous sequential device, all these operations happens synchronously, and the clock is the controlling signal in this case. So we know that how the microprocessor handles or executes an instruction. The steps involved in executing the instructions are: whenever we write a program and when we assemble it, the assembler generates the equivalent machine code for each instruction, and this machine code is stored in the code segment part of the memory. When the processor wants to execute this instruction, the operating system loads this instruction onto the primary memory, and then the first thing done by the microprocessor is it fetches the instruction. So, first the machine code stored in the code segment part will be fetched by the processor, and it will be available in the BIU, bus interface unit of the microprocessor. After fetching the instruction is decoded. After decoding the instruction, basically operands are fetched and instruction is executed. So now here operand fetch and execution I have shown through a single block execute, because as it is a CISC processor, the operand could be stored either in the memory or internal to the processor. So, if at all it is stored external to the processor, then again a bus operation going to take place while fetching the operand. And then the instruction will be executed. After executing the instruction, the result will be stored. Now, storing the result again could be internal to the processor or could be external to the processor. So whenever microprocessor performs any external operation, it is called as bus cycle. So one instruction cycle includes all these four operations. Now one instruction is executed in these basic four steps: fetching the instruction, instruction decode, fetching the data and execute, and store. As operand could be external to the processor, one instruction cycle could be made up of multiple machine cycles. So the different types of machine cycles or bus cycle available are either reading a byte from a memory or a port, or writing a byte to a memory or a port. Here port basically represents any IO device. As the IO devices are connected with the microprocessor with the help of port, here instead of writing a IO device, I have written a port. Now, one machine cycle could be made up of multiple T states. As explained earlier, the T state is the time between two falling edges of the clock signal. So we have different versions of 8086 microprocessor having a clock frequencies between 5 megahertz to 10 megahertz. So as T is 1 upon F, you can understand that one T state could be anywhere between 1 by 5 megahertz to 1 by 10 megahertz, which is 100 nanoseconds to 200 nanoseconds. Let us take an example to understand it in little more detail, that to execute one particular instruction, as I said in the beginning, instruction cycle is the time taken by the microprocessor to execute. Now we will be able to calculate actually how much time is required to execute a instruction. So to understand that, first we need to understand that one instruction cycle have how many machine cycles, and each type of machine cycle used have how many T states. In turn, we will be able to understand one instruction requires how many T states, and each T state is of how much duration. That gives us the actual count of how much time will be required by the processor to execute one instruction. So let us take an example to understand it in little more detail. The instruction here I have taken is move AX, 1200H within square bracket. So you know that what this instruction will do. Value within the square bracket represents the offset or memory. We are going to copy the content present at this offset and the next offset 12001 onto the AX register. This instruction is stored in the code segment as machine code or in binary format. So we have already seen in my previous video how to generate the machine code for any instruction. So referring to that, I have taken these values. The machine code for move AX, within square bracket 1200H will be 8B060012H. As this particular machine code is a 32-bit representation, and to execute this instruction, the first thing microprocessor is going to do is to fetch the instruction. So it will fetch this particular machine code. As 8086 have only 16-bit data bus, it cannot fetch this 32-bit machine code in one bus cycle. So it will first fetch 8B06 in one bus cycle, then it will fetch 0012H in the next bus cycle. So here we have given how many machine cycles will be required to execute this instruction. So the first thing processor is going to do is it's going to fetch the instruction, and to fetch this particular instruction it requires two machine cycle. Now, after knowing because of 32-bit it requires two machine cycle, we will know what type of machine cycle it would be. As fetching is reading the data from the code segment or from the memory, we are going to use a memory read type of machine cycle. So, instruction fetch requires two memory read bus cycle. Next, after fetching the instruction will be executed. While executing the instruction, we have to see are the operands used in the instruction internal to the processor, or to fetch the operand do we need a bus cycle. As in this case, the content of this 1200 and the next memory location, two memory locations, will be copied onto AX register. So my data is present in the memory which is external to the processor. So to fetch the operand, I need a bus cycle. What is the size of data I am going to fetch in this case is 16-bit, because AX is a 16-bit register. I am going to access two memory location and fetch 16-bit of data and copy it onto AX register. So instruction execute will require one bus cycle or one machine cycle, and the type of machine cycle in this case will be operand will be fetched or read from the memory. So it is memory read operation. Next comes the store operation. So here for store operation, we have to look into the destination. Is destination internal to the processor or it is external? If it is internal, we do not require a machine cycle. If it is external, we need a machine cycle to store the result. As in this case, the destination is AX, which is internal to the processor. We do not require any machine cycle for store operation or to store the result. So the total number of machine cycle required for this particular instruction will be 3 machine cycles, and all these 3 machine cycles are of memory read type. After discussing few more example, I will discuss whether memory read, memory write or IO read, IO write requires how many T states. So at the end we will be able to know how many T states are involved in executing move AX, 1200H within square bracket, and in turn we will be able to know how much time is required by the processor to execute this instruction. I will take few more example to discuss the number of machine cycles required by an instruction to make it more clear to all of you. Here I have taken an example, move AX, BX. So first thing I am going to look is the machine code required for this particular instruction. The machine code required or machine code generated by the assembler for this instruction is 8BC3. Now this particular machine code is 16-bit machine code. So to fetch the instruction, I require only one machine cycle. And as I am fetching the instruction, it will be of type memory read. After fetching the instruction, next is instruction execute. Now, for executing the instruction, both the operands AX and BX are internal to the processor. So, I do not require any machine cycle. Third step is to store the result. In this case, you know the content of BX will be copied onto AX. The destination AX is also internal to the processor. So, for store operation also, we do not require any bus cycle. So, basically, move AX, BX requires only one machine cycle. So, in this case, you can say one instruction is having one machine cycle only. Let us take another example where I have taken add within square bracket 1234H, BX. So, we are trying to add the content of BX with the content stored in the memory location 1234H and 1235H. After adding this 16-bit of data, the result will be stored back in the memory. So, the first thing we'll look as is the machine code generated by the assembler for this instruction, which is 011E 3412. As this machine code is of 32 bits, my instruction fetch will require two machine cycles. So here I need two machine cycles, and as we are fetching the instruction, it will be of type memory read. Next, for executing the instruction, as here I have two operand bx and this memory location. The data is stored in both these operands. To fetch the data, we need to access the memory. So again, for executing the instruction, I need to fetch 16-bit operand stored in this memory. So I will require one machine cycle which will be of type memory read. After fetching the data, instruction will get executed and then the result will be stored. So here you can see the result will be stored in memory. As it is external to the processor, we will be requiring the bus cycle or the machine cycle. So we are going to store 16-bit of result in the memory. I require only one machine cycle to store the result. And as the processor is sending this result to the memory location, this will be of type memory write. So this particular instruction put together requires 4 machine cycle, out of which 3 are of memory read type and 1 is memory write. Hope these examples are clear to understand and help you to calculate the number of machine cycles required by different types of instructions. So, in the next video, we will see in detail the bus operation. This machine cycle or bus cycle requires how many T states and how it performs different operation during this bus transfer. Thank you for watching.